Hello, career thought leaders. It's good to see you. And Happy New Year. I guess this is our first official live of the new year. We went live on the 31st, but Trend Tuesday Lives coming back to you here in 2025. And today we're going to talk about 3 secrets that you can use to help your clients do better in interviews. And we're going to talk about how this happens in real time and what we want to watch out for, especially when it comes to some of the new cool AI tools that you can use, some of which are really great and some of which might get your clients in trouble with what really matters in an interview. And that's what we're going to talk about. So what really matters in an interview and how do we help our clients do that well, and use the tools that will help them do that well and avoid some of the tools that get in the way. So it's always good to see you. And like I said, Happy New Year. If you're joining us, please say hello in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, say hello and feel free to drop your comments in the chat, and I will come back and comment on those as well. So, what is it that makes an interview really go well? And this is sometimes hard for our clients to come around to. We get so focused on what do you say and what are your stories and all of that, which is important. Obviously, we have to know our stuff and we have to have engaging stories. But when it comes right down to it, what really matters is the delivery. And how do we help our clients practice to do that well? And I know that there's a lot of different reasons that people have hangups with video, but we'll talk about some ways that we can even help anybody do it better and why it matters so much. So hello. It's good to see you, Faith. Happy New Year. And good to see you, Victoria. Thanks for joining us. I'd love to hear what you think is the most important thing for clients in interviews as well. But let's talk about this connection piece. So there's a few aspects to it. One is feeling like you're in presence with that person, which of course is really hard in video. So one of the things that we've talked about kind of in our personal branding class, because that's where we started talking about this topic for some reason. So actually before our interview class launched, I guess that's why we were talking about it there. But we know that having presence is a lot about thinking about where your energy is. And so when I even am on video with you all, I'm trying to imagine my energy being with you and putting my energy towards you. So there's some physical pieces of that, right? Kind of leaning forward on your chair and being there. But a lot of it is not physical, it's metaphysical. I don't know what the right word is, but it's that idea that I'm thinking and focusing my energy towards you. I'm not in my own head, right? That's where the practice and knowing your stories really comes in, because the more we're in our head, the more we're not able to be present. And you can see my eyes kind of go up into the whatever side that is. Video is so confusing. But my eyes kind of go up there when I'm thinking, and that's normal. That's natural. This is where some of those AI tools can get us in trouble. So most of them are used for kind of canned videos, but there are tools that make it look like you're looking forward all the time. That's really unnatural. It makes it feel very inauthentic. And so that's the second part to the connection, is that one, you're kind of other focused, but two, that you've got some authenticity. Like it's okay to make a few mistakes. It's okay to say and every once in a while. We don't need to try to edit all of that out, to pause, to look, even to look down when I'm interviewing, that I might have some notes and I might tell people I've got a few notes. So if I glance down, that's what I'm doing. All of that makes you feel more human, which is the whole purpose of the connection. So that piece of it in terms of our energy. The second piece of it, and we talked about this a while ago, but the second piece of it is what they call mirroring. And so mirroring means that if the person on the other side of the table from me is louder, faster, then I'm going to try to be a little louder or faster too. Now, this is where people go, oh, Marie, but you were just talking about authenticity. But the two aren't opposed, because I'm not going to be inauthentic. I'm just going to adjust slightly. And this is actually very natural. I do not have to try really hard to do this. The only thing I have to do is remember to be other centered, to pay attention to the other person. How are they talking? What is their style? And I will somewhat naturally adapt to that. There's a cute video that goes around where the girl is watching a movie, right? And she gets sad when the movie's sad and she gets happy when the movie's happy. We all do that naturally. The problem in an interview is that typically we're so focused on ourselves because we're nervous and we're anxious that we forget to pay attention to the other person. And so we're not letting that natural mirroring happen for ourselves. Now, what I find helpful when I get nervous or kind of as an introvert is that when I think about the other person and I focus on the other person, the focus feels like it's less on me, right? I feel less in the spotlight because I'm focused on that other person and thinking about how I might direct my energy towards them. Now, there are some great tools that can help people with practicing for this. So, Udly, Speako, we've got a whole list of them. Drop me a note in the chat and I'll send you the slide. We've got a slide picture of all of the icons, and we're updating it right now because we got two things coming up, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But there's all these systems that will help people practice, but give them this feedback around their eye contact, around their speed. And you want to take those things, and that's why a coach works alongside of these tools, because it isn't necessarily, oh, you're really fast. It's, your pace is high. So we want to think about that when you're talking to other people and thinking about their pace, and are you matching it? Because talking fast isn't hugely a big deal if you're talking to other people who talk fast, right? So you want to think about how you can do that other centered piece, and some of those tools help you do that. But you practice with them, you don't have them kind of writing beside you. So this is one of the other tools that has come out that will actually be a co-pilot for you in your interview. And you, like, the interviewer speaks the question and it starts writing an answer for you that you can use. There is no way that people don't feel that. There's no way. One, even if you had it written down and memorized, if you were reading it, I could tell you were reading it. Even if you had it, right in front of your face and your eyes weren't changed, I can tell when you're reading something, right? It feels different, again, because that energy is towards the paper or towards what you're reading. The energy isn't flowing through to the other individual. So that's why it's so important that we practice and prepare ahead of time. And that tool could help you practice and prepare ahead of time. But you can't, in the moment, be having a new story be written for you. I don't even understand how that works. Like, understand the premise of it. And as a job seeker, we think it sounds great for a second. And then you're like, well, wait a minute. That means I'm going to be reading this answer to a question that I've never read before, and somehow that's going to sound natural. No, right? Everybody's going to know what's going on. Interviewers know about these systems too. And then they're just wondering, did you really do that? Like, is that really your story? So we don't want to do those things, right? We're practicing ahead of time, and we're realizing when we get to the interview, it's really all about that connection with the interviewer, so that you're making those things the most important that you can. So the other piece of it, and we talked about this on Friday with our new Friday series of AI in career services, about the ways that you can use ChatGPT and Perplexity to do research ahead of time. And so this is the last secret that I would say, is that in the interview, and some of our colleagues talk about this, I've seen Claire Davis talking about this, where, questions that you can ask that really make you stand out, where you're asking them, what is their pain point? What are they really needing someone to solve? It's a beautifully powerful question to ask. I also want to ask that before the interview even happens, using AI, using my network, etc., so that when I get into that interview, I'm not just telling stories that match up to the job description. I'm telling stories that actually speak to the current pains and trends and things that are going on in the industry, in the company. And that's going to make it like this, whoa, you're reading my mind kind of feel. And that's what we want people to have. But you've practiced it ahead of time, you prepared it so that when you get there, you've got that in your memoir, right? You've got it in, it's not memorized. I like to call it internalized. Like, you know those stories so well that you can adapt them, you can change them, you can use different language. You're telling the story that you internalized, and you've aligned those stories to not just the job description and what questions AI thinks they might ask you, but you've really done your research into the pains, the nightmares, whatever it might be, of the hiring managers, so that your stories ring that intangible, oh yeah, kind of bell, in addition to showing the qualifications, because everyone who's interviewing has shown the qualifications. They wouldn't be there. So how are you going to stand out? One, it's that connection. And two, it's that you've gone beyond and you've really thought about how you can solve their problems, in be there to solve that pain, in addition to meeting the qualifications. And like I said, it's powerful to ask the question, but I want our interviewees to have prepared even ahead of time to be able to tell the stories that ring that, oh yeah, we really need to solve that problem kind of bell. So those are the 3 points there, and we've talked about those. I'm going to give a little bit of another secret here, but before we do that, I just want to show you 2 upcoming things that are happening. I'd love to answer any questions that people have on these. So the first is our new micro-credential on powering up your career practice with AI, because AI is a tool we all need to help our clients use. It is not something to, disparage and say it doesn't do what it can do. We need to help clients understand where it fits in the process. And we've been doing this. We've been talking about this for 2 years now. It's kind of hard to believe, but we've created these micro credentials because people said they wanted to do little bites and figuring out which bites they want to take, right? So we're creating the meal. You get to pick which part of it you want to partake in. AI use in career coaching, so career exploration. We're not just doing generative AI. We're going to look at AI assessments, AI tools beyond that in each of these sections, as well as generative AI. We're going to focus mostly on things that are free, but we will talk about some other things that may have a cost associated with them. So these sessions will run every quarter. And if you purchase it now, you get to attend all of the sessions for the year. So you might be able to attend one live, watch recordings of another, catch the updates on the third. They'll be similar each time, but it's changing so fast, right? There'll be updates each time, and we'll let you know what those are. And then you'll get access to the recording from a year from when you start. So they're going to keep rolling. We're going to keep rolling. This is not going anywhere. This tech in our world is not going anywhere. And then you've got AI and resume and profile creation. I specifically did not call this writing because, yes, it can write, but there's so much other ways to use these tools in AI and resumes that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with having it right. So if you love to write, great, you do the writing piece, but don't miss out on the power that AI can bring in a lot of the other parts of the process. Then we've got job search coaching and interview coaching. So you can choose one or all 4, and it tells you on here what comes with each one, that you get the fundamentals of AI session, you get the 90 minutes on the topic that you choose, digital badge, access to our career services sandbox, which includes the prompt library. And then if you do complete all 4, you get the AI savvy career practitioner micro credential, which I just think is super fun. So that's one of the things we have coming up. It starts on Friday, but it rolls all January with the other topics rolling out. And then the other thing that we have coming up here, for those of you that are interested, is our interview coaching class, because obviously teaching people how to use AI is only part of it. Helping them understand how to prepare and show up and be in the moment is another piece of it. So we go through foundation preparation, how do you research a company, presence. How do you show up with that presence on the interview? Barriers and mindset. So real barriers that we face, and how do we help clients deal with diversity issues, bias issues, and just dealing with companies that may not be ready for the interview process. Compensation negotiation. We're not talking just salary, because there's so much more to it than that. And then building your services or program. If you work inside an organization, how are you going to roll this out to your participants? Tons of stuff there. Come and read why other people love it. And then we will start the next live class in January 21st. So those are just a few things that we have coming up. So one other tip here, if you're working with your interviewees, and I know we've got interviewees who, neurodiverse or shy or introverted, whatever. I think a lot of us have those challenges or on some level. I love actually the not having to look at myself. So on Zoom, and I'm sure some of you have figured this out, but on Zoom, you can either turn off your own video, or you can move things around so that your video is very small. And you can also move it so that the other people are right next to the camera. So most of us have the camera on the top of our computer. You can buy a center computer camera, but that's money I don't think our clients need to spend. But I can adjust the Zoom window, right? I can squish it so that it's up by the top of the computer. I can turn off where I see my video. So I just change the view. I don't turn off my video so they can't see me, but I turn off my view of my video so that I don't have to watch myself, which I find distracting. Even when I'm doing these videos, I stay pretty focused on the camera so that I don't have to look at myself. But then I can stay focused on the camera. Another thing that I love is putting some kind of sticky note or picture, or used to have this little eye thing on my camera that reminded me to look in your eyes, right? Because all of you are on the other side, and I'm looking into your eyes as much as I can on video. So sometimes people put a picture of someone that they feel fondly about up there, or whatever it might be, but you can squish the video so that it looks like you're looking at the other people when you're looking at the camera. You can make it so that you can't see your own video, and do what you need to do to show up the best that you can on video. So I hope those tips are helpful for your clients, and I look forward to hearing from you. What do you find helpful for clients who are trying to have great presence in interviews? Now, I will say next Tuesday, you do not want to miss Jessica Hernandez, who's built a very successful business in our industry. Right now, she's selling a lot of courses, which I know a lot of us want to do. So she is going to be coming and talking about how she is getting leads, how she's building her business. And specifically, we're going to talk about how she's doing that despite everybody in our space thinking, oh, I can just get that advice from ChatGPT. So you don't want to miss that next week with Jessica Hernandez. We will see you next Tuesday for our Trend Tuesday. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.